Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly J Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this pendant. Something a bit different for you today. I've put links in the description below for everything you'll need to make this pendant, along with links to my Etsy shop and Facebook page, and there's an Instagram link as well if any of you are on there. I'd love to see your finished work. To make this pendant you'll need 0.8mm wire, that's 20 gauge, and I've cut 4 lengths at 14 inches, which is 35.5 centimetres. You'll need 0.315mm weaving wire, which is 28 gauge, and I've wound mine onto a bobbin. I'll put a link to these in the description below. If you don't have a bobbin, don't worry, you can just cut lengths as you go. You need a little 3mm bead. I think that's a 4mm bead actually. A little 4mm bead. And a long teardrop cab, and this design is specifically for this shape cab. Mine is 45mm by 13mm. So it has the point at one end and it's oval at the other. Tools, got pliers. I use these Xuron tweezer nose pliers. Round nose pliers, I've got Tronex short round nose pliers. And wire cutters, and again I've got the Tronex cutters. I'll put all links to these in the description below. So we're going to start 4.5 inches, which is about 11.5 centimetres from the beginning of the wires. So take your weaving wire, and we're going to start with 3 wraps around bottom wire. Then we're going to go over the second wire, so we're wrapping around the bottom 2 wires. We'll come up between those 2 wires, over the third wire, so we're wrapping around the next 2 wires, come up between those 2 wires, over the top, and then come up between the top 2 wires, so we're going around that top wire again. Then we come up between the middle 2 wires and around that third wire. Come up between the bottom 2 wires. Then we go over and around the second wire, under the bottom wire, over the bottom wire, so we're wrapping around that bottom wire. And that's our repeat. So we're going to keep repeating this weave. So I'll do that again with you. Over the second wire, up between the first and second wire, over the third wire, up between the second and third wire, over the top, and then come back up between those wires and go around the top wire, up between the middle wires, which is the second and the third, and around the third wire, up between the bottom 2 wires, around the second wire, under the bottom wire and over the bottom wire to wrap around it. So there's 2 repeats of our weave. So we need to keep repeating that weave. So I've done 10 repeats of that weave. And you have to keep pressing your weave together as you go too. So I'm going to finish with 3 wraps around this bottom wire. And we'll cut that tail end at the beginning. Flatten it down. And we'll cut this weaving wire as well. Now take your wires. We're going to bend them right down. So you want to pull them down without them crossing over each other. And this is going to sit on the back of the stone. So turn it over. And we're going to have these wires coming up. It's hard to show you with such long wires. So this weave kind of sits across the top section of the back. So we don't want it too far down the stone. We don't want it too high. So the wires come out at about that angle. And holding it firmly at the back so your weave stays central. I'm going to bring these wires around to the front. And we're going to gently scoop them up like that. I'm going to do the same for the other side, holding the weave nice and central. That's my dog snoring. And we're going to scoop them up. She's happy. So this is what we've got so far. And we're going to bring these up and we're going to weave across the 4 wires as they come together at the top of the stone there. So to help keep it central, as you're curving these wires around, separate the bottom 2 wires out. And then you can kind of hold it better at the bottom. You know where the bottom of the wires should be. And then as you bring them round, it just holds it a bit more central at the back. So I've removed my stone just while I attach the weaving wire and start the weave because it's a bit tricky to hold. So making sure that your wires stay next to each other so we know this is the bottom wire. Take your weaving wire and we're going to wrap 3 times around that wire. And push it down into place so you've got it where all the wires meet. It is tricky to hold, so I'll put my stone back in. Let's see how we get on. So I'm going to wrap around both wires. Twice. And I'm going to come up between the wires and go straight over the other side. Make sure you push it down, go around them twice. Then go around just that top middle wire. Then come straight over the bottom 2 wires. Now we're going to keep doing this weave, but we're going to be careful not to pull the wires together. We want this weave to move up here. We're doing like a bail, and we don't want to pull the wires together. We want to keep this gap. So you go twice around both wires, then just around that middle wire, the one closest to the middle, straight over the other side, around those 2 wires twice, then around that middle wire, straight over the other side and around those 2 wires twice, and then around that middle wire. So just keep repeating that for a while. So I've done this many repeats. I did take the stone out while I was weaving. So it's about 1 centimetre, a little bit more. Make sure you keep pressing your weaves together as you go. So now I'm going to hold the wire in place and bend it in, and on the other side. And then where they meet at the top, so I'm kind of trying to get this same shape really, and where they meet at the top, you hold it and bend it back out. So you get that shape. And we're going to continue to weave all the way along here, which is the rest of our bail. So as you do weave now, it's going to keep wanting to slip, so you have to hold each side down as you're working. So if I now go right over to the other side and I hold it in place, and then I go around that middle wire, and then I've got to come straight over to the other side, so then I'll hold that side down, making sure it stays down because it does tend to keep sliding along now. So I've done 2 wraps. Keep pulling it back down, then I'll go just around that middle wire, and that should hold it down. Oops. Like that, and then I go straight over the other side, so you have to keep holding it down now on the sides as you go. I'll continue to do that weave up to the top there, and you can see it's not as tidy at the top, and I have got gaps because it does slide a little. But this top part's going to be at the back, so that's fine, we won't see it so much. Need to cut that tail end off at the beginning. Flatten it down. So now we need to shape the bail, and I'm going to use a paintbrush. If you've got bail pliers, then you could use those. If not, anything that's about this size, you could use a crochet hook or a knitting needle. So I'm just using a paintbrush. You want to position it where the outer bends are. We're gently going to bend the bail straight over to the back. Hard to show you with all these long wires. So position your stone in place, and the bail now, these big long wires, the bail now comes over to the back of the stone. Making sure the stone is straight, so these wires come out either side. That's what we have so far. So I've just turned to the back and I've wrapped my weaving wire a few times around a single wire, because we just need to cut that off and get it out the way. So again, focused on the back, put your stone in place. You want your stone to sit so that it comes above where the bail starts. And holding it in place, I'm going to pull these wires up and out to the sides. Turning it over. The top wire is going to come around the top, so we pull that straight over and across the front, both sides. We'll leave those there for now. The bottom wire needs to come across and down at an angle like that, trying to hold everything in place. And make sure the bottom of the stone is still sat between those wires. So this wire is going to come across, and if you can imagine a line down the centre of the piece where these wires meet, we want to curve this wire around so it just reaches that imaginary line. It's my dog woofing in her sleep. So pull this one over, and again you want to scoop it around so it meets that wire on that imaginary line and then scoops back out. Oops. Pop my stone back in. So I've just turned it to the side, so now we're going to strap these two middle wires together. So take your weaving wire and we'll go 3 times around the bottom wire to attach our weaving wire. And pull it down into place. Then we'll go around, all tied up in my charging leads here. Then we'll go around both of the wires. We'll go around them 3 times. Then we'll go around the bottom wire again. And we'll go around it 3 times. And we'll cut the weaving wire at both sides. So now, holding the weave that we've just done, take these wires, making sure everything's nice and symmetrical. Your stone is sat straight. Take these wires around to the back. This is looking at the back. Where they cross that weave, we're going to cut the wires and tuck them under the weave to secure them under the weave. And I'm going to use round nose pliers just to bend it around so I get it nice and tight. Just need to straighten that up a bit. So I'm not going to press it down firmly until I've checked the shaping on the other side, because it may pull out of shape a little bit. And then I'll do the same for the other side. Check the shaping again on the other side, looks fine. So now I'm going to squeeze them in place, just squeezing them firmly to that weave so they don't move about too much. So that's what we've got so far. The stone is already starting to feel secured in place. So now we're going to shape these top 2 wires. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bend the one back around one way and the other one back around the other way. I'm going to take my bead, I think it is a 4mm bead, pop it in the middle there. So as these wires come around, they'll go around the bead. Like that. And then these wires go around to the back. Like that. And I'm going to reduce the length of these wires in the description because I'm going to cut quite a lot off here. So these wires are now going to go and secure around the bail. Again, I'm going to bend it around with the round nose pliers. And this side is going to go above. Level it up a bit and then squeeze it all firmly into place. So now working on these bottom wires, I need them to come straight out to the sides. And then over to the front and scoop around to the side so that they cross in the middle. If you imagine that line again going right the way down the stone through the centre, we need these to come across and scoop so they touch that centre line. And we do the same for the other side. And we want it to scoop to meet these wires and go back out at the same angle. Like that. I'm going to separate them a little at the ends. And we're now going to weave across this middle section just to hold all those wires together. So we're going to start, take your weaving wire, and we're going to start with 3 wraps around the bottom wire. And we're going to pull that round into place. About there. And then we'll go around the bottom 2 wires, push that around into place. Then we want to go over the 3rd wire. So we're going around all 3. Then you want to come over all of the wires, and at this point you want to be right in the centre of this little weave to tie everything together, like that, so you've got enough room to do the same on the other side. Pulling it nice and firm as you go. Over the 3rd wire. Over the 2nd wire, trying to keep it all central. And then we've got to go over the bottom wire 3 times so it's all symmetrical. then we need to cut the weaving wire off at both ends and flatten it down. So now you need your wires to go out at the same angle and holding onto it firmly at the front. You need these wires to go around to the back. Now that stone is definitely secure in place. So looking at the back, these two wires are going to scoop around, and these two wires are going to secure over those two wires there. So you can try and bend them around it, or you can cut them off and bend them around as I normally do. Just lifting them away from the stone a little, and then holding everything in place. I'm going to scoop them around carefully so that they wrap around that wire. Keeping the shape at the front, and then I shall squeeze all that down in place. Now we just need to finish off these two wires, so I'm going to scoop them up like that. Now take a short piece of weaving wire and I'm going to wrap 3 times around this wire. And slide it into place. I'm just securing everything down now. So what I'm going to do is tie these 2 wires to these 2 wires. So I'm just wrapping around all of them and then tucking the wire underneath. Then I'll go back around that bottom wire . 5 times. Now I'm on the other side. Do another wrap to get myself in place. Now I'm going to go around all the wires on this side to hold this side down. Easier said than done. So I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to go 3 or 4 times around all 4 wires on this side too, and then I'll finish off with 3 wraps around that bottom wire and holds it all nicely in place. Cut off the weaving wire at both sides. So now I'm going to curl this wire, cut it and curl it in, and I'm going to cut this wire and curl it the other way. But I'm making very small curls now, so it's out of the way and it just finishes off the wires. So I'll cut that quite short. And this one very short too. And then with round nose pliers, make your little curls. So there we have it. Quite a tricky one today. It's nice to do something completely different. Hope you found this tutorial easy to follow. And please subscribe if you haven't already, if you want more free tutorials. Thanks for watching. Bye.